I'm sorry, what, Manoj?
Did you practice whatever we
The
learned?
notes. Yeah, actually, I just followed the notes. I couldn't able to. Sorry, I couldn't able to log in, Manoj.
Mhm.
But
Okay,
I
not a
saw.
problem.
Yeah,
Not a problem. Whenever you get a time, just try all the things
yeah.
and
This
if
week,
you
weekend
yeah,
I'll sit.
yep. Okay, fine.
Oh,
About conditional statements and other things in Java. So this time the remaining thing that we have is string and arrays, polymorphism, inheritance, interfaces, and some of collections. So string class will see what is it and how it works in Java. So string is a class in Java that is immutable. Immutable when we say like it cannot be changed. So once an literal is created, it cannot be modified, but it can be from uh, referenced in memory from a different variable. So when we see like how do we create an object of string class and what are all the methods involved in string class, then that is the main important thing that we'll see. See, in string class there are hundreds of the functions. So I'll not go over all of the functions, but few of the functions we will visit and check like how they work, write code for them. The rest of the functions, they are straightforward. So you can just go and one by one try those functions, like what those functions does and how the code will be written for them. Fine. So we'll just start with few of the functions. So what are they? Uh, I'll go over like we'll create a package org.demo dot its string org.strings demo. Fine. So in this particular package, we'll create a class string demo. Fine. We'll include main method here to execute our code, because everything that we execute in Java, it should start from main. Fine. So let's say you wanted to create an object of string class. First of all, string is a class that you'll have to define. So these are the non-primitive data types now that we are discussing. So the way for integer we do create a reference variable like integer a equal to 2 or 3. In the similar fashion, we do create like a string str equal to. We can create an literal with the name of like this. It's an string literal. It's also considered as an object of a string, or we can create a string object with the help of new keyword that we have. A string str1 new and then a string. Fine. So a string object is created. But what if we wanted to assign some value to this? So we can create this way as well. Fine. So this is how it is created. So if we wanted to print like what is there in this particular variable, this is out str, and what is there in the str1 that we created. So now if we execute it, It's saying like string demo. It does have the Selenium. It does have the Selenium demo that we had. Fine. So this is how we do create an object of a string class, and the strings we can strings are something like most of the time we do use anywhere in the programming, whatever the logics and everything that we are writing, we would be using this string. Fine. So there are so many functions in strings, like starts with, ends with, split, trim, caret, etc. that we'll learn about. Let's say starts with. Starts with what it returns. It returns C. When you move your mouse to the function that we are using in a string, then you would get this all information. What this information suggests you that Boolean is the return type of the function starts with. That means if you're using this starts with function, it will give you a return value of the Boolean. Fine. So starts with and public boolean starts with string prefix. So this is the signature of the function. When we say the signature of the function, it includes the name of the functions, the argument that this function will take, and the return type of this function, whatever it will return. So it's saying parameter prefix, the prefix, and return true. This function returns true if the character sequence represented by the argument is a prefix of the character sequence represented by the string. False otherwise. That means if we are writing like str dot starts with sel, that means what str does have? Selenium, right? And we are asking starts with function that if this string starts with sel or not. So that means what it will return? It will return true or false. Since it is starting with sel, that will return true. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so this out string starts with Sally cell plus str dot starts with prefix cl. So now we will execute this. There is no need if you are directly using it. No? Yeah, so it's saying false. Why? Because we are using a small s, and while in this string we have capital S. That is why it says no. This string is not starting with SEL. If you give capital S, then it will say true. Fine. So it's saying true. Yes, this string starts with SEL. Fine. What if we wanted to use and verify if, let's say, you are going to verify something in your automation test, like if the title ends with this particular text or starts with this particular text, then there these functions of string would help you. Fine. In this particular string str1, if I wanted to check if this particular string ends with demo, then what it will give? It's saying true. Yes, this is string str1 that we have taken is ending with demo, right? Fine. So this is how we can utilize the function of that. It starts with and ends with. If you see split, so what split does, let's say you have a string str and you are saying split. I wanted to split this particular string with, let's say, you have another string str sp and selenium qtp soap ui. This string you have. Now your test case is you wanted to verify if this particular string does have all these three tools or not. Then what you can do is you can split this string with this character. So I'm giving this character here, and then what it returns, we'll see. We'll mouse move there, and we'll see it's returning an array of string. So since it returns an array of string, so we'll write an array of string str array. So it's returning an array of string. Now you wanted to see like what is there in the array. So if you see, we have splitted the string with a particular character. Sorry, what it is coming? Selenium. Sorry, this is a string while we were using a different string str. So we have to replace it with the str sp. Then only we'll get that. Fine. So it's showing me like Selenium, QTP, and SOAP UI you just have there in the string. So this is how if some other character is there, like asterisk is there, ampersand is there, has is there. You can split your string with that particular. You can split that string with the particular character, and that all would come into an array, and then that array you can look through and check like at which location what came and what are the things we have in that particular string. And then you have trim. So what trim does, you have, let's say, str trim, and this is how you do have your string. Trim, this is how you do have your string. Fine. So I wanted to trim this particular string. Trim means I wanted to remove the white spaces from end and from start. Trim my string. Fine. So this is my string, and I would call trim function there. So what it will display, it's just show me as Selenium trim. It removed the white spaces from initial and ends of this string. So this is how we use. And let's say you wanted to check on in this particular string str trim char at index. What is there at index? Let's say I'm telling what is at index 4. I wanted to check like at index 4 because this string would be represented at index 5 like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wanted to check like at fourth index what is the character. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So at fourth index it is n. So it displayed n here. So if you do like str dot, then these many methods we have in strings. Like equals is an object class method, and then you have length if you wanted to find the length of the string. Equals ignore case if you wanted to compare a string with another string. Caret, we just saw that. Index of, if you supply a character in an index of method, it will return you the index of that particular character. So hash code is something different, like it gives you unique representation of an object. Chars, so these many methods you have in string, so not all the methods we do use, but yes, few basic methods are there, so that I explained you. Few more methods are there, so you can just go over all of those cases, those methods. So they are easy only the way we saw these methods. Trim, caret, split, these are straightforward. It starts with and save. In the similar manner, you can try all these other methods. Fine. So if you have any questions.
No, Manoj.
Fine. So this is how strings is. So what you can do is you can go to string Java doc, and if you, this is the official Oracle Java document. So if you go here, you can read about it, and these are the different constructor of string class, and these are the methods that I was talking about. Like there are so many methods of string. If you see, they have written a very good API around it, and it's explaining everything, like how it works and what it will return and how you should use that, what kind of exception it may throw, those things. Fine. So you can go over all these methods and have an idea of like what all methods we have in this thing class and how can we use that, because these would help you in automating or writing the logic. Fine. Okay, now we'll move on single dimensional and multi-dimensional arrays. So arrays, you know already, like when we have to preserve fixed memory locations, number of memory locations in the memory, then we do use arrays. So in Java, we do have two types of array basically, single dimensional and multi-dimensional arrays. So we'll learn about like how do we create an array and how do we retrieve the values out of it. So basically to create an array, what we will need is data types. Data type means what kind of array you are going to create, like integer, double, strings, or that thing. And the name of the array. So what was the name that you wanted to keep of your array? So this is an representation of like you are going to create an array, and then you have to give the new keyword, and then again the data type, same data type that you are creating an array of, and then you supply the uh, uh, size, the number of memory locations you wanted to preserve. Fine. So we'll learn about that. Array done. Fine. So we'll see, like let's say I'm going to create an array. So I named it integer array, and then I have to supply the array representation, and then new, and then again the data type, and then the size of array. So this is how we do create an array. Fine. Now I wanted to give some values at all these locations that we have. 6 locations we have reserved. Now int array at 0th location, I wanted to give a value 34. Int array first location I wanted to give a value of 4. Integer array I wanted to give a value of 2. At this location integer array 0 1 2 3 array I'm making it 4. Fine. So this is how we can assign the values to all of the locations that we have. And now if you see, if I wanted to print at index 0, so what is the value at index 0? It's saying 34. So this is the value that we assigned, and here we could print with the help of this. Fine. So in the similar manner, if you wanted to print like what is the value at third index, then you can just change that index and can run that. So you get a 4. What if I do print 5? What it will do? Because we do not have that location, right? So it's giving me array index out of bound exception, index 5. It's saying we don't know about this location, where this location is, because we do have a size of 4 only, while we are supplying at index 5. That does not that's just not there, so that it could not find and give an exception, array index out of bound exception. Fine. So only till the boundary of the array we can access the variables. Fine. But now one question is, let's say you have array of size 100 or 100, let's say. So now you cannot initialize all of the array this way that we did, right? So to initialize a lengthy array, what you'll do is you'll go with for loop, and this is how we do. In array we have a variable called dot length that will return you the length of the array. And what you can do now is to initialize, we can have that array and at ith index, because I is starting from 0, right? So I'm assigning the value, let's say value I only I am assigning. That means whatever the index we are running, the same value we are assigning in our array. So we have assigned the value in the array. Now I wanted to see like what values we assigned. So now what I'll do is I'll just this out and values in array. So this will give me all the values of array that we assigned. So I'll just execute it and we'll see. See, it's giving us all the values that we have assigned in our array. Fine. So this is how it does work. So this is how we can create an array, and we can create an array of not only integer, we can create an array of strings the way we created in here, right? An array of string. We can create an array of string, we can create an array of objects, we can create an array of table, we can create an array of anything like data types, like primitive and non-primitive data types. Fine. All right, so we'll see like how the multi-dimensional array works. Though it's in 2D array we have. So for 2D array, I'll just comment this all. Fine. So the way we created single dimensional array, we'll create a multi-dimensional array as well. Int 2D array. In 2D array, we will define this way. So it depends on like how many dimensions we are creating, and that many will have here. Fine. New int This is represents number of rows and number of columns. Fine. So we are saying like I wanted to create an array of number of 3 rows and 3 columns. So if you see, this is how it should look like. So basically it would be like I would say this way. One, two, three, 0, 1, 2, 3, and we would have another as well. Fine. So this is how it would be. Fine. So if you see, it would be the 0, 0 location. It would be 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, and again it would be 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. So this is how the array will look like, kind of matrix. Fine. So I'll make the size 2 so that we can fill it. So in the similar fashion that there we were assigning the value, we can assign the value here, like at 0th and 0th location I wanted to assign a value of anything. Fine. So in the similar manner I can have 0th and 1th location. So 0th and 1th location would be this location. This is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. And then again this would be 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, and 1, 3. Fine. So 0, 0 we assigned, 0, 1 we assigned, and now we can assign 0, 2 location. So we can change the value anything. Fine. Or in similar manner, the value in 2D array is fine. So at 0, 0 location, whatever the value we assign will print that. So what it is printing? Array index out of foreign. Why? Okay, so this location is not there, that we are since the size is 2 only, so it will have 0 and 1, not 2, right? So we'll comment this and then we'll execute it. Okay, so it's saying 23 is there. Fine. In the similar fashion, we can refill or fill this arrays with the help of loops, the way we did the one-dimensional array. Fine. So this is how the arrays works. All right. So now we'll move on. So the way we create an integer array, we can create an string array as well this way, and objects array as well. Objects means like any objects, like dog class we created. So we may create the objects of that, and we can have those objects here. Fine. So polymorphism, we'll see. What is polymorphism? I think you would already be aware of the object-oriented OOPS programming languages. So they have one concept of polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but an one thing in multiple form. When you say one thing in multiple form is like you would be creating a function with the same name, but the solution or the output they would provide would be different. Different in the sense is like working of those functions would be different. Like I do have these 3 functions, the working of these 3 functions is different. I mean, they do uh, addition, but it's not required any parameter. It does require 1 parameter, and it does require 2 parameter to addition. Fine. So one thing is, I mean, addition they are doing, that means one thing, but in multiple form they are able to do that. So how it works, and then we'll see like polymorphism in Java. What kind of polymorphism we do have in Java? There are two type of polymorphism we do have in Java, like early binding, compile time, and overloading. So we call them with these three names: early binding, compile time, and overloading. And second is overriding, runtime polymorphism, and late binding. So why these names has been given to these two type of polymorphism, we'll see that, and then we'll go for this inheritance. So now we'll see like how polymorphism works. Class. Fine. I created one class calculator, so at basically calc.java, and I am adding two functions here: public void add, sorry, integer a, integer b, and it does not returns anything. It just print sum of a plus b. Fine. And I do have another function. Integer c plus b plus. Two function I have. So we were seeing this early binding, compile time, and overloading. So what does it mean exactly is, let's see, I'll just remove this integer c parameter from here. Now what happens? You see an error is coming here, right? So what is this error if you see? Let's move our mouse here and we'll see that. Rename method add. It's saying duplicate method add int in type calc. So it's saying they are duplicates method. So either you change the number of parameter here or you change the name of this method. So this is an early binding, at compile time binding, or overloading. Overloading we are saying because we do have two methods with the same name but with a different signature. Early binding we say because at compile time only, the code is not yet executed. Eclipse is trying to compile this code and it's finding there is an error, like there are two methods with the same name. So that is why we say it compile time binding. Early binding means before execution only it can find like what is going on. Fine. Overloading means there are two methods with the same name but with the different signature. So if we change the signature, this is called the signature of the method. So whatever the parameters that we pass. If we change the number of parameters here, or if we change the type of parameters that we are passing in these functions, then it will allow. This is why we do call it early binding or compile time binding, or we also call it overloading. So this is what the overloading is. Fine. So if we do create an object of calc class obj equal to new calc, fine. So if you say obj dot, then you are able to see two methods here, one with two parameter and another with three parameter. So any of them you can call. If you wanted to do an addition of two numbers, then you can call the first one. If you wanted to do an addition of three numbers, you can call the last one. So we called first one and gave values 5 and 10, and we'll see what it returns. What it returns? 510. Why so? That is because this is a string and we are giving a plus b number there. So it's just considering them as well as a string. So what should we do for that? Sum equal to a plus b, and here we would print the sum. Fine. In the similar fashion, we'll do here a plus b plus c, and here we would print sum. Now we'll see this. So saying 15. So this method was called by the compiler, right, at runtime, because it knows that two parameter has been passed in this parameter. So there is only one method that received two parameters. So compiler was aware of that already, right? So that is why we are calling it as early binding. Fine. So if we if you want to call the second method, then you will have to pass another parameter. Let's say 4 you passed. Fine. So if you to comment that and you execute it, saying 19. 19 is this addition of this was printed. So this is what the overloading is. Like we are able to call the addition with the help of different parameters, right? This is the early binding. Overriding, we'll read about it once we cover the interfaces, because interfaces would come with overriding kind of things. So what is inheritance? Inheritance in Java is like it helps us utilizing the features of parents class in the child class. So this is the inheritance. So this is the basic concepts in Java that helps on the reusability of the code. Let's say if you have something in your base class and you wanted to utilize that in your in subclass, then you can inherit that class and can utilize those features, and you do not need to recreate, or you do not need to have the same code again and again in your subclass. So that is the feature of inheritance. How it works, and that thing we can look into. I created a class calculator. I would have these two methods only. Sorry. I have these two methods in my class. Fine. Now I'm creating another class. Scientific calculator. And here in my class, I do have two more methods: subtraction and multiplication. So this will give me multiplication. Fine. Now what happened is, like, Since I'm creating a scientific calculator, I would need addition as well in this particular calculator, right? So what I'll do, instead of creating an addition function here, I'll make extends and then calculator. Fine. So extend is the keyword. With the help of that, you can extend any of the class. So this particular class I have extended with calculator. So now what you will see is you would be able to utilize the function of calculator that we had. How did we do that is that we'll see. I'm going to create an object of scientific calculator. Now if you see obj dot, what I have, I'm able to see the calculator functions as well. So the one thing is like whatever you are able to see here, that you can access. So addition method I am able to see, right? In the silver function, the multiplication I have already created in my class. Subtraction I have already created in my class. I also have the addition. So if I wanted to use that, I can use that. Fine. Okay. It's not returning anything now. Fine. So we'll run and we'll see if we're able to call that particular function or not. See, we are able to do the addition of 5 or 7. We do not even have this method addition in our class scientific calculator, but even we are able to do the addition because this calculator class that we created here, it does have that function. So it's calling that function. So the child class that we created got the features of parent class. So this is the beauty of Java, that we can do this thing, and you can call the method those we created in the scientific calculator class itself. So it will give you subtraction of these two values. It's giving me 3. So this is what we have is inheritance. So this is how we can utilize the inheritance. All right. Fine. Now we'll go over to interfaces. What is interfaces? How to write interfaces? How to implement interface? Fine. So, you have any question, Wali?
No one is just looking.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
Interfaces in Java, interface is a special kind of class which contains variable and which cannot be changed. So interface is also a kind of class, but the methods, the way the methods that we are creating here in our class, we do not create a body of the methods. We just define like these are the methods would be in our interface. We do not give a body of them, and the variable that we define in an interface would be static and final. Static and final means we cannot change the value of them. Then why do we create an interface? So I'll go with an example of like let's say a calculator we were creating now, right? So let's say I created an interface called calc, and this interface does provide me addition and subtraction. These two methods we have, but since we'll not have a body of them, so we will just have this thing, like this is an interface, calc interface. Now, as I explained you, like I was creating a scientific calculator. Let's say you have got an requirement to create an scientific calculator. Fine. So when you will create a scientific calculator, so what you will require is you would be adding some kind of, let's say, 100 functions you are adding in scientific calculator that would have like cos, sines, and tan, thetas, evaluation, and all those things. But in addition to that, you would also require that your scientific calculator should provide these functions as well, right? So let's say if you have to create an calculator that calculate EMIs, fine. Let's say some 50 functions you have added for EMIs calculation. But to do that task, you must also have these functions, isn't it? Because you would always need these functions. So that is where the interfaces comes in picture. Let's say if someone has created an interface that says, okay, addition, subtraction, and multiplication functions are provided, and if you wanted to enhance it, you wanted to create your own, then you can implement that particular interface and can utilize those functions. Fine. So how do we do that is, we'll see. We'll create and the way you do have a option of class here, you do have an option of interface as well. So we'll create an interface this time. So the name of the interface is calc. Fine. So what we'll have here is public void add fine public void subtraction. What if I try to give a body of this method, then it's giving me an error. And what's that error? We will see. It's saying abstract method do not specify the body. That means interface would not allow you to create a method with the body. You cannot have any code inside method of interface. So you'll have to mark it as this way. Fine. And what about the variable that we do create? That would be by default final and static. We cannot change the value of these variables once we assign them. Fine. So I have created an interface with the name calc. Now I wanted to create a calculator, as I said, like let's say EMI calculator I am creating. Fine. So this is the EMI calculator that I am going to create. Addition, subtraction we do have there. I wanted to utilize the interface methods that we created. So what I will do is implements calc. So it's still giving me an error. If I move my mouse there, it's saying me add unimplemented method. The methods that we have created in interface are unimplemented. Means there is no code in those methods. So interface says if you are going to utilize me, you will have to define the methods that I have. So we'll just click on unimplemented method, and these methods would come from interface. We'll just save that and it's all okay. Fine. So I can write any code here in these functions as per my requirement. System, sum of values, and in subsection as well, I can write any code that I wanted to have. Sum of values, fine. All right, and in addition to that, I can create my own functions here in this calculator, like multiplication function I created. Sys out multiplication of values. Alright, so this is the function that I created, and these are the functions directly coming from interface, and we implemented as per our requirements. Fine, now I wanted to create an object of EMI calc, obj, an object of that obj is equal to new EMI calc. Fine, obj dot. If you do obj dot, you are able to see addition, you are able to see subtraction, you are able to see multiplication of that. You can utilize any of the function. If you run it, you'll see sum of values. So whatever we implemented, we are able to access that. Now let's say you do have another function, another interface here. I'll create another interface. So EMI calc special is an interface, and let's say it does provide public void calc EMI. This is the function I have here. Fine. In this class, I would ask to implement this interface as well. So that means what happens is, when we were extending our class with calculator, you cannot extend this class with more than one classes here. A class can be extended with only one class only, but a class can implement more than one interfaces. So error is still coming. We'll move our mouse there and say add unimplemented method. I'll just click on that, and that unimplemented method is there. So I can write code as per my requirement here. LKMI. So a class can implement more than one interface, but can only extend one class. So this is the features of interface that we have. Fine. So this is how we can access the values. This is an object of EMI calc class and the reference variable of EMI calc class. What if I do create an reference variable of calc, not EMI calc class, and then an object of EMI calc. If you see obj dot, then also you can access all the methods that we have. So what is the difference between the previous one and this one? The difference between the previous one and this one is, this is an reference variable of interface, while this is a reference variable of the class that we create. So basically, this is the parent class and this is the child class. The parent class can always contain the child class object. Alright, so that is why we are able to see all the functions related to the child as well as parent, because it is parent. Parent can always have child. Fine. Okay, so this is how the interfaces works. You can create as many as interfaces you do have, you need, and you can implement as many as interface in your class. And but you can extend your class only once. Fine. So this is how interfaces works. So any questions here?
No, Manoj. But I only have like, how does it work when it's real project works, right? So we need to think like what um, script will be fine for that, right? They won't tell like calculator or like a subtraction or anything, right? They'll just let them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You see this one this test script we went through, right? Selenium scripts. So if you see this web driver, this web driver is an interface, and why it is an interface, and this Firefox driver is in class. The real example that we'll have is here. I'll explain you how it works. That's true, and let me do it here only. Like equal to web driver. Explain driver new Firefox driver. Fine. So in Selenium, this web driver is an interface, while this Firefox driver is in class. Why do they did so? Web driver, and we have class called Firefox driver. This is the class, right? New, and we have, like we can execute our cases on Chrome driver, Firefox IE as well, right? So if I wanted to execute my cases on Chrome driver, I would have to do new Chrome driver. Fine. Similarly, if I wanted to execute my cases on IE, I'll do new IE driver or Internet Explorer driver, kind of that video. Fine. And this is a driver there we are assigning our object, right? Why are we doing so? Let's explain. See, they created an interface, web driver. The way we created an interface calc that does have unimplemented method. So the web driver also does have some unimplemented method called get title. It does have get source code and nodes. This is how the web driver is designed. It does have some unimplemented method the way we had in calc. Now we created a class called EMI_calc that does have a function called multiplication. In the similar fashion, Firefox driver class that we have in Selenium also has 100 plus methods. Its own 100 plus methods it does have. Similarly, Chrome driver does have some method here. Fine. Some method does have, some method it does have. We have created a interface web driver that does have these methods. Now what is happening? We are creating an object of Firefox driver and assigning it to web driver. Firefox driver has implemented web driver. That is why we are able to assign the object of Firefox driver into WebDriver, right? So these methods are already being implemented by Firefox driver. Why? Selenium says if you are using Firefox driver, then if you are implementing WebDriver, then you should implement these methods as well, because Firefox does have a different way to get the title of page, a different way to get the source code of the page, a different way to close the driver. In the similar fashion, Chrome does have some different code for these methods, and in addition to that, it does have their own methods as well. In a similar fashion, iDriver does have these methods as well as its own method. So this is why the interface comes into the picture. Like if you wanted to have the same functionality across your classes, then you should create an interface and then you should implement those methods in your class. So this is a very good example of like why the interface came into the picture. And now you see like there's a connection between all these classes. What is the connection of what is the connection between these all classes is these all class implements a WebDriver interface, and hence we can share these three methods being implemented by all these three classes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is why we do create an interface. Got my point? Why are we
Yes.
creating?
Yes.
This is a real-time example of interface and the classes and why do we create that and so. Clear?
Yes.
Fine. So this is how we do create and all these things. So the remaining chapters will have this, I believe collection is remaining. So we'll go over collection tomorrow, and after that we'll start the Selenium. And in Selenium, we would start with how do we create XPaths? How do we create the CSS locators? How do we identify the elements in Firefox, Chrome, and IE? How do we launch a Chrome driver? How do we launch an IE driver? And then we'll start with like how differently we can create the locators of the elements. So once you have that knowledge, then we'll start writing the scripts, and then we'll start uh, with different functions in the API of the WebDriver. We'll see that like how the action class perform, how we close the driver, how do we get the titles, how do we get the source code, how do we verify the things, how do we click on, how do we select the drop down. All these things will go from tomorrow. Fine.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'll send you whatever we discussed today, and let's meet tomorrow.
Okay, sure, Manoj.
All right. Fine.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.